Good morning, Natriece.
Good morning. How are you, Shane? How's it going?
It's going phenomenal. Just a second here. Let me get to the right window. There we go. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Positive Vibes, making positivity and gratitude louder in a podcast world. And this morning, as my guest, I have Natrice Spicer. We were connected a few weeks ago when I made the call, replied to made a comment on one of Gary Vee's posts, community posts about adding value to the community, and yeah, I was saying I need a guest, and Natrice was kind enough to say, "Hey, I'll be a guest on your show," and I haven't really did, I haven't really done as much research as I'd like to have, but I did see that you are a life coach, and I was, looking at a bit of that, and you're just full of the positive energy that my show needs here. So, yeah, good morning.
Well, good morning. I am happy to be on the show. Thank you for having me on Positive Vibes. And yeah, I'm the neighborhood hug dealer. So this is what I do. Like, you got the right girl. I'm the connect. I put people in touch with their greatness and more vibes of love and positivity. So we are right in the same vein. And so I'm glad to be here just to continue to spread that type of energy and have conversations about how we can live that out in real time. Because I think, in all honesty, that's really what people want is like the how to, right? It's all
Yeah,
fine and fancy, but how do I really live this cute little thing that you guys are labeling wellness or sanity or something like it?
yeah, exactly.
So tell me, Shane, what goes on here at Positive Vibes? How do y'all flow? Tell me the flow of the show and like what's up?
Um, yeah, it's just really, it's just me bringing positivity and gratitude to the world on my show here. Um, just bringing on positive people and having interviewing my guests about their own personal brand of positivity and how you're bringing it to the world.
Well, I definitely am excited to talk about that because I think that this being the year of so many good changes, there's not a better time than to talk about what drives my passion and kind of floats my boat, which is women's empowerment. Is a big focus for me. Women and youth empowerment and helping them to be confident enough to tell their stories and monetize their histories. And I think that this is the perfect time to be having those conversations and to tie in how that connects the dots to like um, when you think about community wellness, when you think about household wellness, when you think about the wellness for men, right? Happy wife, happy life. And even men who don't choose to have wives still have women in some sort of part of their circumference that they have to deal with. And so we just know the world is a better place when women are well off. When we're on track, things are just better all around. And so I do think that women's wellness and empowerment is an important thing all the time, but especially right now when we look at just the trajectory of the world, politics, society, and culture, like all of those things need that nurturing touch that I think the new Madam Vice President is bringing, that I think a lot of the officiants in different like schools and small businesses and like micro entrepreneurism and life coaching and wellness and like seeing some of these traditionally like feminine attributes being able to like not have a gender anymore, right? Like removing some of the gender from some of these things that previously have been considered girly or feminine, and being able to be like, guys need to be sane too. Guys have emotions too. We need to address this. And so I think women are just very much at the forefront of that. And I think we have a lot of power and responsibility to help steer the boat, to drive the boat for a little bit. Y'all been taking shots. And so now we got a clean up woman. We need to come in and really just be bold in our power to just be life and be wellness and help goodness, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Right on, right on. Yeah, it's actually I was one of my this lady I follow on Instagram. Her handle is Confidence in Curves, and she just real positive and you know self trying to maybe help boost other ladies' self confidence and other people's self confidence by showing her own and her own self confidence. And she put a post up this morning saying something about you know don't uh, don't worry about something about weight gain. Don't worry about weight gain or every little bit of weight gain or something to that effect. And I'm like, look at it in a positive light. That every
Right.
little bit of weight gain just makes you that much more of a goddess. And just look at it in a positive light.
Yep. And
Be,
it's true. And look how that perspective came from somewhere that previously, I mean, prior to social media and maybe even prior to the pandemic, even with social media, you may or may not have tapped in, but I know from a generalized perspective, we are connecting the dots much more through these avenues than we would before. Men wouldn't seek, the professional input or the expertise of maybe a female life coach or something like that. And now those things are just changing. Those barriers and those mindsets are changing. And I think it's a really great thing. I know personally on my podcast, the Inspired Life podcast, we talk a lot about ideologies, lifestyle methods, and tools and tips to actual play out in actual real time. We give actionable steps and advice, and it's all gender neutral, even though from a trade perspective and a business angle, I would be considered a woman's life coach because that's who speaks back to me. That's who buys the books or whatever. But as far as who's tuning in and who's learning and who can be edified from what I'm putting out, I hear the guys speaking just as much as I hear the women saying, I need to know how to combat my comfort zones. I needed to hear that I have to be able to look inward before I act outward. I needed to know that the way that I'm reflective really impacts the way that I am when I'm being active. I needed to hear that I need to be proactive and stop being a procrastinator, right? Yeah. And so I think a lot of these principles we have let divide us as a society, as a culture, as genders, and all these titles we place on things. But at the end of the day, people want to be well. People want to feel good. People want to be made whole, and they want to have a sense of existence that goes beyond just being and has some fulfillment of life. Whatever they define it as, they want to be able to do that thing before they leave. And I don't think that has a gender, a budget, a color. Like, that's here, right? And so that's what I'm excited to see us get more towards. You having this platform just shows that not only is there more desire to do the work, but clearly you have an audience, right? So people need it. They need the vibe, right? So
yeah, exactly. Well, it's like like I said in my book, my autobiography I wrote as sort of as a result of my hearing Brendan Burchard. You know who Brendan Burchard is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was a few years ago. I was watching. I was down in the depths of my depression, and I was watching one of his videos on. Well, actually, I had watched one of his short little promo video, and I had ordered his book, Motivation Manifesto, and that really got me fired up a bit. And so I started following all his content online, and I saw this video on about his Experts Academy, and he was saying, hey, we're all an expert in one thing or another, and we should, if anything, you can write a book about that. And I'm like, whoa, dude, I can write a book about my life. I'm an expert about, brain injury. I'm an expert about multiple sclerosis. I'm an expert about alcoholism and drug addiction. I'm an expert in all these things that I have personal experience in, as so far as my experience goes. And so I decided to write my life story. And, you know, also in there, there was a drive to do that because I've been told I have an inspirational story. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I can help some people with inspiration and motivation. And so, it's like I started with that platform and following Gary, then I got into following Gary Vee, Gary Vaynerchuk, and met
Who I
him.
love. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, met him when he spoke in Portland, Oregon, and he flew me to New York, and I just, been following him and all these other people on social media and learning about all these different platforms. And this morning, I was talking with the station manager this morning, and I was between last night and this morning with content that I made at the ocean yesterday and driving into town this morning. I was just making content left and right, popping it up in stories and on reels and, on Facebook stories and, you know, posts on both platforms, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And, planning out content creation for other platforms. But yeah, it's like, once you get on a platform, it's like, and you start gaining an audience, then you're helping more people, and it's just
Right.
that much better.
Exactly. And I think that ultimately, like, that's what we're here to do, is just to show up, to have the platform, create the space, drive the conversation, and then allow people to get what they need, right? And to have a place to share, right? So like, even this is super important because it's an equal exchange. It's you showing up, but also providing space for people like me, who want to do the work and who don't always have outlets, or who may have outlets but are just driven to be expansive. And so I just think that what you're doing is really commendable, but also just a sign of what's necessary.
Yeah,
Like, this is just where we are.
yeah, definitely. It's definitely necessary. It's like I wish that I could have been doing this a long time ago, or would have been doing this a long time ago. But it's like, hey, it happened when it happened, and I wish that I would have had something. I would have had these. I'm sure you'd be with me on this one, but I wish I would have had these platforms to view and listen to when I needed them back in the day, but it's like
Yes.
it wasn't around back
Yes.
then. Now it is, and so I can help by, you know, being on the platform and bringing forth the positivity and gratitude.
Right. But that's why we do the work, though. And as much as I look back sometimes and I go, oh, man, it's been a hard road. Man, these lessons have been hard. Man, this has been a journey. You know, I came from the trenches, and I look at the trajectory of my life, and I look at the people that I've come across along the way, and I wouldn't have met those people. I wouldn't have learned those lessons. I wouldn't be who I am, and I probably, I could be impactful. I could be doing the same thing. I could be at a different, maybe even broader, or what some would say more successful level, because people judge things by, I don't know, fans and numbers and what have you. But I feel like I'm right on target. And I feel like I'm not the only one. I think life gives you what you need when you need it, and it puts you where you're supposed to be. And for some people, that will be, a collegiate, straight, narrow road that leads you to, I don't know, management, PR situations that get you this broad-based international platform, right? And you're world renowned. And for other people like me, it's going to look like heartache, bricks thrown at your face, suffering through low self-esteem and depression, early childhood abandonment, issues, and growing up in underserved, impoverished, oppressed neighborhoods, and dealing with the stigmas of being a Black and a female person in a country that you're always feeling you have to fight. For some of us, it's going to look like that, right? And it's not going to be straight and narrow. It's going to have a lot of stories of, ooh, I did it, and this is juicy, and this one sounds like a late night special, and this one might get me on the Tonight Show. It's not going to be a straight and narrow road. It's going to look like brain surgery and multiple sclerosis and having these terrible life instances over and over again that people keep saying, I couldn't have gone through that one thing. And then you're the person who's gone through all the things. And, you're the guy who gets to do the work, and the other guys get the reward. And This is your version of Glory Road, right? But what if you never did any of that stuff? Could you say you care the way you care? You know? Could you say you do what you do? We don't know, you know? So right? Could there have been another one of us? Maybe. Should there have been on days when we are looking back or either sulking? We'd like to think so. But really, really, it had to be this way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was, it's like, actually, I'll just, something I've been going through for the past couple weeks. Well, over the past couple weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks or something. I don't know. Anyway, um, and on one side of the coin, it's sort of sad that, and over the past 2.5 weeks or whatever, I've had, let's see, I've dealt with the passing of four people in my life, and one was a celebration of life for someone that passed away last year. Couldn't get together until, because of the COVID situation, but we did that, and that happened. And then there was also two friends and a cousin of mine that also passed away during this past 2 weeks. And it's like, I don't know, it was, I was going through just fine and everything, and going through, my daily life just fine. And then, it's, I started getting tense or whatever there yesterday. No, not yesterday, on Friday. And yesterday I drove to the ocean, and just for the cleansing, refreshing feeling of the ocean, being there on the beach and the waves and everything. And ran a couple miles on the beach, and then I got to witness a full rainbow end to end
Oh,
there on the beach. And it just, that moment of seeing that rainbow just let me know that, hey, it's okay. And it just put me at ease. And it's like everything just seems to come together like that.
very true. Like the little symbols matter so much. Like, and I love a rainbow. I actually had a momentous occurrence of a rainbow like about a month and a half ago. And it was 2 weeks before I left my job. So I just left corporate America for good, banking. I left a 23-year career in finance to pursue entrepreneurism full time. And this particular day, I had some questions and I saw a rainbow and I got some answers. And so I love your story about seeing a rainbow. It's powerful.
Yeah, I thought it was super cool to see the full rainbow, because I had gotten out of my car and was running on the beach, and at one point I saw half the rainbow, and I was trying to get a picture of it, but it wouldn't come out the rainbow wasn't very prominent. It was only half of it. And then it's like, as I built right before I was going to get in my car, I saw this full rainbow, and it's like, wow, it showed up.
And sometimes it's just like that in life. It's like you're waiting for an answer or you're trying to dig yourself out of the ditch, and like we grovel sometimes, right? And then like before you got up and you're like, let me get out, let me go get some sun, let me run, let me go to the beach, let me try to dig myself out, right? And then just as you get used to doing the work and you're like, okay, fine, I got it, I can do it myself, like the universe sends like the most darndest thing. And it's like, I don't know. Energy is like that. I believe you get what you attract, which is why positive vibes is such a powerful phrase, because you're it's almost oxymoronic if you think about it, right? Because if I'm leading with the positive, then I'm actually becoming the vibe. And if I am the vibe and I decide that it's going to be positive, it'll be what I want. So it's like the two go hand in hand, but at some point one has to cause the other, right? And so I think what we've decided by who we are and the work we do is that we've decided the positivity comes before the vibe. It's like, I know for some people the vibe might have to be there and then you can get to a place of being positive. But we just decided, come hell or high water, I'm getting up, I'm getting to the beach, and I'm running. And I don't care what life looks like, I'm going to find a beach and run, right? And so I just think that that kind of determination, right? That's like that's the real bag. Like, as we say in hip hop, that's the bag. That's how you ball out. That's where the real money is. That's where you really get into the getting. You know what I mean? Like, you can gain the world and lose your soul. What good would that do you? Right? You can cry and complain until things get perfect, but when is that going to happen? But to be ashamed, like you got to do the shame. You got to be like, I don't care what kind of ditch I'm in or what happens or what kind of hellhole falls over me. I'm going to find a damn beach and I'm running. And I'm running till I get my rainbow, you know? And so I think that what a powerful testimony, you know, don't wait for yourself to feel better about your situation, man. Like, get up and you make the vibe come. You make it be a positive vibe by being determined, you know? And so that right there is like, that's the kind of stuff we need to be teaching our kids.
Yeah. Well, actually, to back up in that experience, when I first got there to the beach, I pull up, because out there at Ocean Shores, you can drive your cars out on the beach, and drove out on the beach, and I parked there, and I was just looking out at the waves, and it's like it started sprinkling, and then all of a sudden it started coming down a little harder, and um, it was almost pouring rain there for, I don't know, about a minute, and I'm like, man, I came here to run. I'll just get out and run for, run a mile, get wet and get back in my car and turn up the heat and dry off. And then it started, I just waited a couple minutes and it started tapering off, and then it wasn't raining, and so I got out and ran. And it was just like that though. It's like almost, where it entered my mind that I might not do what I came to do, started entering my mind that I might not get out and go run. And then I'm like, no, I can just get wet. And then I'm like, and it stopped raining. And then I see the rainbow. It's like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
The things we get when we stay determined, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's like, something I've heard before is you don't get the gifts if you don't do the work. You don't get to the results you want if you don't do the work.
That's right. And if you resign yourself to loving whatever work is in front of you, then you'll always have the gifts, because really the gift is the work. Really, it's a mindset. It's a mindset thing. And I never, ever, ever propose anybody to believe that I am there. I will be a work in progress. I promise. Until my last breath, I promise to not fully ever get it right. Maybe one day, but I'm not banking on it, because we're all just a work in progress. But it's true. If you just decide that you're going to work towards being okay with whatever's in front of you, then you'll always get the gift. The less you want, then the less you can be disappointed. Yeah. When you open yourself to whatever life has, you can't be mad.
Yeah. It's like, before I met Gary Vee, but especially more now since I've met Gary Vee and flew me to New York and all that night. Since then, like he said, you can see this on Daily V 346 at my appointment with him in New York. He was, telling me, suggesting that I become a member of the community and branch out into the community. And since I have been doing more of the work at becoming more of a member, a full working member of the community, now, I'm growing because of that.
That's right. That's right. And this is the Gary Vee way. This is the authenticity method. This is the genuine game plan. Like, people always want to know, And especially like in my sector of the world, I cater to creatives, underserved communities, women of color, youth of color. And, and a lot of times, I mean, when you just come from anywhere impoverished, you want to get the bag, you want to get the money, you want to be successful, you don't want to fail, you don't want to lose, right? So people always want to know, how can I be good, do good, but I want to win, I want to be big, I want to be successful, I want people to catch on to what I'm doing. And it's like, be genuine. Like, be genuine for real. You think the drug dealer on the street's not genuine that his product's good? You think the guy who's spreading all of this negativity through the movies he tries to produce doesn't think his content's good? You think that the people who are taking up their free real estate on Instagram to spread propaganda or whatever other kind of information that we may or may not like don't think that what they have to say is important? And so it's the same across the board. You gotta be just as believing, just as determined as the bad guys, right? You want to be on the good guy side. You want to combat this thing with positivity and love. Be it. Like, freaking show up. Just show up. Like, just show up. Like, take your facade. Take your goal oriented results and numbers. Take your demand for income. Take all of your you-ness and put it to the side and put your humanity first. And it's a hard thing to grapple because the world's sitting around saying, be awesome, be amazing, be rich, and make it look fun to give back. And the reality is that you got to just do it the opposite. You got to be okay with just giving back and doing the right thing and following your heart, and then the money will come. Yes, it's going to hurt like hell. Yes, it's going to take hella long. Yes, you're going to get denied. Yes, all the people taking the easy route and doing all these show me things are going to piss you off. But you know what? You keep your soul.
Yeah, exactly. Just, and yeah, that's what you're saying there reminds me of something I read or heard here. Actually, I saw it online within the past couple days. I forget where. It was, I think it was a meme, and it said something like, "Don't worry about making content," that said something to the effect of, don't worry about making content that brings in big money. Worry about making content that shows the true you, and it's like, just be yourself. Be, like you were saying, be genuine. Just be you. And,
Yep.
Show that.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I get it. I get it that that's a hard thing to do. I know for me, my journey has been one of constantly unveiling. Like, I never felt the need to put up a facade. I never scripted myself as far as like, I'm going to say this or be this particular way. But I was very adamant about only showing certain parts of myself because I'm a private person. And when you're in the public anyway, anybody who's in the public a lot, you tend to keep a lot of yourself away. And so it just was that tendency. And then being conditioned, right? The world teaches us what to think and behave until we learn to think on our own and for our own. And I just got to a point where I realized that boxing was creating that illusion of the facade. And so now I switch gears, like the wind, like the air that I am. I mean, I'm a Libra sign anyway, so I let that be my excuse. You know what I mean? Because we're never all the same. Nobody lives in one vein. Nobody has just one frame of mind. And I think the world can be such a dark and scary and lonely place because we live with monsters in the daylight that get to live and walk freely. And I don't just mean the monsters against us. I also mean the monsters inside of us. And so it's just a scary thing to always be up against them and up against you. Like, if anybody has not seen Mr. Robot, watch it. I feel like we're all a little bit of him. But my point is that to fight all of that, you just let go. You just let go and you just show up. Just show up. Right now I'm recording a documentary and I'm just showing up. Like, I wanted to be able to record this interview, so I had to do it on my phone with Zoom. I didn't have another cameraman. But it's important to just show up, bad angles and all, just to be transparent. Yeah. And so I think the more that we just show up, and I think the more that people like you and I can just continue to be vulnerable, I think it helps people to embrace vulnerability more, and then that makes authenticity cool, right? Yeah. So we just got to be the cool kids. and the nerds at the same time.
Exactly. One of my in my running, one of my hashtags I always use on my daily running post is hashtag running with the cool kids, and there's another one hashtag streaking with cool kids. I belong to this run streak group called Streaking with the Cool Kids. I think that's the name of it. But anyway, um, and those are the hashtags. And it's like one of my running friends, Dee, she was saying, hey, can I be one of the cool kids? And it's like, well, you run with me, so you already are.
That's
But
right. That's right.
yeah, but and it's just like that, being one of the cool kids. If you want to be, then you are, and it's like essentially a self-diagnosis thing. If you think you are, then you are,
That's
and
right.
uh, yeah, it's mindset. It's almost 100% mindset. Um, what you were saying earlier, very early on in the show, was something to the effect of, you being a women's empowerment coach, and how, things maybe should be, gender neutral. And, it's like, but, for the sake of, your coaching, it's women's empowerment coaching, geared toward reaching those people, women. Um, and what I what I was what was going through my mind with all that was, it's like I maybe I'm reading a book or reading an article on women's psychology, or just happen to be reading an article that I think is about psychology. A little ways in, turns out to be women's psychology. Oh well, let's read it. And I'm reading it, and I will read it and focus on parts that I relate to, not on how this isn't me. Why am I reading this? And toss it to the side, or listening to a podcast, or watching a video online with someone talking about um, you know women's feelings and whatever. And it's like, how can I relate to that instead of like women's feeling? What's all that noise? And just tossing it to the side is like, no, how can we relate? Not how are we different, and I don't need that in my life. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I definitely think that that is what it's something that I hope people get to. It's a place that I'm always preaching. And sometimes preaching to the choir, because sometimes it's me, right? I gotta look at myself and be like, girl, that fits you too, boo. Don't think just because it was a guy or just because it was men, like, no, it's you too. Don't do that whole gender thing. Like, just pick up the wellness wherever you can get it. But people have to get there. People got to get there, and I'm good with that. Like, I'm good with meeting people where they're at. I'm good with being pliable. I know when I first started out 3 years ago, I was like talking to everybody. I would like, even on like just a post, like you could see where I was like wanting to name everybody so they could feel included, because I know people will distance themselves or exclude themselves. And so I would be like, yes, because for youth it's XYZ, and then this applies to women for XYZ, and then men because XYZ, and rabbits because rabbits too. And then and I had to learn, like, talk to who you talking to, and that's fine. Everybody else who needs to catch on will catch on. And as I build and I get a community of support that can help me continue to go forward, then I can tailor my messages and my materials and my products. Like, I think sometimes as coaches, influencers, and just people in wellness who want to do well, we take on too much, right? So it's like, I'm going to have a podcast, and I'm going to have a show, and I'm going to have another one on Instagram, and I'm going to be the best coach for men, women, and dogs and cats. And then I'm going to also do snakes, and like, because I could do all that. Then I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm going to be a rapper too. And like, it's just like, calm down, and I'm gonna do country music. Like, breathe. We want to help so bad. We take on so much. And so I just give the message, and I do tailor it to mostly women. But yeah, I know that men still hear me, and I know that I still speak to y'all. And I have men in the DMs actually saying, like, we want something for us, we want a class for us. And I'm like, it's coming, but you just a big part of giving back and service and being in or having a wellness business and coaching is that you have to know how much you can take, right? So right now it's the women. I'm getting them to tell their stories, be empowered to walk in their light and become entrepreneurs. And next it'll be the men. So we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, from what I'm seeing, from you know, from my point of view, you know, being, you know, like you were saying, you know, reaching these people, you know, reaching the women, and then, you know, branching out and reaching the men after that, and then branching out, you know, possibly others and others, and it's like, you know, um, there's that side, and then there's that's from the givers, maybe, you know, maybe the giver point of view, or the giver side, and then from the receiver side, there's sort of um, what's going on, what's going through my mind right now is that where I come from, the place where I come from, you know, I got into a 12-step program when I was 16 years old, and, you know, been clean and sober ever since. And but what I was, you know, one thing I was taught and was impressed upon me from the very beginning in that was look for the similarities, not the differences. And up until that point, I had always been looking for differences, not similarities. And that kept me um, well, distant, of course, because, you know, I was never looking for what kept me close. I was looking for what kept me far away, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, looking for the differences. Anything that, you know, well, I'm not in that group. I'm not in, you know, popularity or the popular circle because I'm different because of these things. And it's like I'm not. I can't be. I can't be. I can't have any abundance because, you know, I'm not like those people, and here's why. So I'll just stay back here in total
Right.
non-abundance. Well, you know, now I'm
Right.
looking for these similarities, and it's like, how can I fit in there? You know, instead of how can I stay out here solo on my own, alone. That's where I'm at with all that, and it's like, um, sort of, you know, looking for similarities. Once you find the similarities and you gain access to the same solutions, and you can have access to the same abundance, or, you know, have access to your own abundance and solutions in your own life.
I definitely see that that is necessary. And this is where I think the conversation is so critical when we're talking about wellness, is the conversation of unification versus separation, like looking at things very globally and inclusively versus looking at things very strategically and demographically or separated. And I think that both are necessary. I think on the one hand, there does have to be some level of inclusive healing and reflection and studying and outreach, because that's the only way to create unification. But I think, quite honestly, because of my experiences with being a woman of color, being a woman, and navigating both of those things separately and cohesively in this country, there does need to be a continued conversation around how to specifically be well as a Black woman, as a Black man, as a biracial person, as a person of color. And it does have to be very specific. The way that an Asian American woman needs to thrive in this country is not going to look the same as an African American woman. And I know that because of the socioeconomic factors, oppressions, and realities that we live with, right? And so ultimately, what I do is I come from a place of saying, I know that I'm here to speak to a specific audience and have a tailored voice. And it's my job to show up for those women and youth, and ultimately the men, to say, as a Black woman, here are some things that you can do to be well, specifically for you. However, my goal is to impart that upon people in a way that gives them the global mindset to then go back and be inclusive. So it's basically like, I can't even begin to talk to my people or be audacious enough to tell you, look inclusive, look outwardly, let's all unify, when I know that we're not right culturally and we're not right independently within. And so I look at that and I say, okay, I am a very global, thought-minded person. I want people to get along, and I believe that as a whole community, we can do that. But I know that as an internal community, there's a few things in-house that we got to get right. And so when I have that mindset, it tells me that we do have to be careful about making everything general, but everything needs to be looped back into humanity. Because at the end of the day, if I'm only thinking like a Black woman for Black women, then that's not good to the greater good of society, because now I may be having a mindset that wants to put other people at risk, and that only harms me in the long run, right? If it's good for me, it's good for you. If it's bad for you, it's bad for me. So I just think as we have these conversations about wellness and inclusivity and uniformity, that it is important to say that no, Black women need their own programs to be well, because traditionally there's so many issues around us having a voice and being able to establish what that looks like in a way that works for us, right? And the same systems that work for everybody else, we know don't work for us because we're hurting, we're toxic, right? And I also think we need to be able to loop that back into how to be cohesive as a part of society and contribute to the greater good of humans, right? So yeah. I just feel like we all just working, and everybody needs to just clock in every day and do something. Just do something, damn it. Just just do something good.
Yeah, it's what was just going through my mind as you were saying that about being a Black woman, and and helping other Black women get to that place is the as I see it, the group, let me see how is it, yeah, the group, as a group, you get to a certain place, where as a community you get to a certain place, but in order to get there as a group, you have to get there as individuals too. So it's I'm totally down with what you're saying there about having to reach a specific demographic at a time, or in each scenario, because it's like each individual, or each individual demographic, or each little part of the whole has to do its own little, has to work at it in their own angle, their own way. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, we got a lot of societal work to do. But I'm encouraged and I'm enthused, because I feel like the world has gotten to a place where we're sick enough that we can't pretend to still be okay and show up at work like you gotta call out sick now. I feel like that's what the country is doing. Is like the United States has called out sick. Like, like we couldn't put on a blouse one more day. We couldn't throw a suit on and pretend it was all good. We just have to lay there in bed with the flu and be like, we sick. And now we can get right. Now we can heal. Now, when you get things bold and honest, and you let the disease out, I feel like all the diseases are coming out. The bigotry, the racism, the chauvinism, the oppression, the poverty industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, the educational disparities, the gender bias and discrimination. We have a Black woman who just modeled a shoe after a white man who wears a skirt every single damn day. You can't tell me this country's not changing. Now, if that's not a bold statement of people being able to do what they want to do, and her shoe line is European, high quality. So this is just one example of the ways that what I'm talking about, this ideology of the potential of separated wellness to create uniform cohesiveness, is working. You know what I mean? Like a Black woman who got in her skin, got well with herself, got her dream together, got in her bag, found a man who was nothing like her different in a lot of demographics, but who's also successful in his own right, is bold and daring. I mean, he's a straight married man who wears skirts every single day because it's fashion for him. And both of them are extremely successful at levels that people would only dare to be. And they're bridging a gap. They're bridging a gap. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you don't see this in a history book. You got to be paying attention and living in real time, which is why people like us who are willing to step out and do your thing, albeit big or small, are the ones who are helping keep this thing going. Because somebody somewhere is listening to this conversation and they're saying, you know what? I'm going to go from a dreamer to a doer. You know what? I'm an expert. I didn't even know it. Shane put me on. Shane put me on. I'm an expert too. I didn't even know. I didn't even know it. You know, and it's just little moves like this that create big waves of change. You know, and so I say just keep going. We all just got to keep going. Start with you and spread it out. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We just, we just all need to keep moving forward, keep doing our own, you know, keep doing our own thing as part of the whole. And, you know, just don't even worry about being, just do our own thing. And it becomes part of the whole. We become part of the whole. And, it's like, but we, like you're saying, we have to work on ourselves. We have to get ourselves right before we can, come together and be a right whole, a right, you know, the whole of the group, the whole of the community.
Yeah, I definitely think that we've come from where things may have been, but I'm glad to see some of the recent upheaval, so that we can get traction to come farther. Because sometimes you have to just take down the inside of the house in order to recreate something good with the rest of the infrastructure. And so I'm excited. You excited? You scared?
Yeah,
Who's scared? Ain't
definitely,
nobody
definitely,
scared but the devil.
definitely. Times are changing, the world's moving forward, and things are getting, on one hand, things, from certain viewpoints, maybe things get worse, but in the end, it all works towards, you know, being better, being progressive, and you just have to go with it.
That's right. That's what I would say. Is go with it. I have a tattoo on my shoulder. Which shoulder is it? This shoulder, and it says "Just keep living."
No.
And it's a reminder. It was actually a reminder to me. It's a poem that I wrote, but I got the tattoo because I've been talking to my girlfriend one day, and she was like, "Girl, I don't know how we've been through this and been through that." This is my sister girl, Ebony. This is one of my day one sisters, and she was like, "I don't know how we survived this and that, and how we've been through everything we've been through." And I was like, "Girl, that poem that I had wrote." And she was like, "Oh yeah." She was like, "Because we didn't give up." I said, "Yeah, we just got to keep living. Just keep living, and you'll get there." So I think that's the that's the message, if any, that I would preach for us is just keep living. You know, we don't have to have it all figured out. We don't need to know what's going to happen. We don't have to know who our tribe is or how the income will come to support the work we do. We just got to keep living. I mean, we lived, and then cancer came and brain surgery came and MS came and opportunities to speak came and like meeting freaking very Gary Vee came. I'm still jealous about that one. I'm like, man, Shane, you my best friend just because you got to my best friend. But no, seriously, all these things came because you just kept living. You didn't have like some recipe or something. You didn't know way back as a 2-year-old this would be your life talking to me in this moment right now with your own freaking radio show. You didn't know, but here you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
So
like I'm not following a playbook. I don't have no schedule for all this stuff. I'm not following my plan. I'm not following any plan. I just keep taking the next indicated right step, forward. And
that's
it's
right.
like, you know, it's like I was saying, I saw the next step would be writing my life story, and self-publishing that. And then I saw after that, I saw the next right indicated step was driving to Portland and hearing Gary Vee speak, and maybe I'd get to meet him and maybe not, whatever, but at least I'd get to hear him speak. And I got to meet him, Mike to Mike, and then he flew me to New York, and it's just like I just keep moving forward, keep, like you say, just keep living. I just keep taking the next indicated right step.
Well, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I'm glad that we are able to have this conversation and for the conversations that you're able to have with all of the people that you reach, because this is the stuff that people need. Every day, regular, real people are counting on us to show up. And like you said, it's like not about like if I get this ultimate glory thing or not, but like let me just do it, and like just having that just do it, like just being a doer mindset is like that's my thing. So I hope we can all just be doers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a speaker, well, an international speaker, and he's also in finance. A guy named Vusi Tembakwayo, and he's in. I'm not sure. I forget the name of the town, but I know he's in South Africa. And I've actually listened to his audiobook a few weeks ago, and after I'd watched the video, I was on a Zoom call, and where he was this main speaker. And anyway, one of these mastermind calls I was on, I think it was with Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Teacher. At any rate, I heard Vusi speak, and I wanted to know more about it. I just loved his energy. One thing he said in his book, and I think he said it in video of his, but one thing he said that sticks in my mind just and rings so loud and so clear for me is that all of my excuses are valid, but none of them will get me the results I want.
That's right.
And
That's right.
that just rings so loud.
Right? Doesn't it hit your spirit? Because it's true. You can have a million reasons why something won't work, why something's impossible, why it's too hard. I had a gazillion reasons of why I needed to stay at my job, even though it was toxic and mentally damaging and unhealthy and so many other legal things I can't talk about. I had a million reasons to leave, right? But at the end of the day, only taking action at the right time in the right way was going to get me the results that I wanted, right? We are never going to have a situation that's 100% efficient or 100% comfortable. We are never going to be the only one with the only thought. We love to use these words like unique and one of a kind. Why do you think you always look up if somebody else got the same idea you got? Okay, because this right here, you're not the only one with it, but taking freaking action. And that's what ET is about. He's like, you could want something all day. You can think about it all day. That's not going to get you what you want. You got to do it, and you got to be willing to work. And his mentor, Les Brown, who I love, because I study ET too. So like you just blew my buttons when you said his name. Like he loves all my same people. But Les Brown, his mentor, says, you don't want something until you want it like air. And that's where I'm at. I'm at the ET point, but I'm like, it's like air. It's like I'm going to die if I don't get this thing. And I think once you tap into that mode, then it's all go.
Yeah, exactly. You bring up Les Brown. There was a video of his I've watched several times. As a matter of fact, I used to have it downloaded on my my YouTube app on my phone. Watched it quite a few times actually. But he said, when it all comes down to it, you got to be hungry, and it's like, it's basically you do. If you're hungry enough, you'll cook so you can eat dinner, right? If you're hungry for life, then you will go after it and get it. It's just like that.
All facts, big old facts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's like he was saying about his, job he used to have he wanted to work at the radio. So he went to the radio station put in that, and just kept going back and talking, asking about it and asking about it and asking about it. And finally they said, okay, well, give me a cup of coffee. Okay, you're hired. And that's how we got on the radio.
Yep.
And,
It's just you have to start somewhere. And I remember the first time that it's funny you say that, because he's the person I was thinking about the very first time that I got an offer to do a poetry performance. And I was like, sure, I'll open with a poem, but I'm coming to speak. It's like, I can speak if you want, because I was trying to transcend from being boxed in as a poet into becoming a life coach and inspirational speaker, like a power speaker. And so and instantly they were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do a power talk. And they were like, well, what is that? And it was like the most scariest thing to be like, I'm just going to put myself out there and I'm going to speak it. But I remembered what Les Brown had said. I remembered that speech, that particular video where he talks about working at the radio. And I was like, if you never say something, if you never speak up, he said, another quote of his, he's like, you'll be with the richest place in the world. And we all know where that is, right? It's the graveyard, because more people die with billion-dollar dreams that they've never ever lived than millionaires get to spend money. More people die with billionaires worth of dreams that they never spent, right? So he's a person who definitely impacts me a lot to be my best and to keep going even when I'm not my best.
Yeah, and what was just going through my mind when you were talking about the graveyard being the richest place in the world, which is so very true, because people, with all these unfulfilled dreams and lives that people, you know, could have, should have, would have, fulfilled or whatever, then, it can't happen now because it's in the graveyard. And it's like Gary Vee talks about, having no regrets, and something I had heard a while back, which I put into practice yesterday, and my being at the beach yesterday, reflecting on these people that have passed in my life recently, and then the rainbow and it being all okay, got me thinking, and I was thinking, and I stopped and saw a friend on my way home, saw a very good friend on my way home from the beach, and talked to her for a couple minutes, and that was it. And I carried on, went home, and then I got to thinking. About this thing I saw a while back about unspoken words. Leave no words unspoken, and so it's like I was thinking about the premise of passing on, dying, and what you're saying about being in the graveyard. You can't all those ideas and dreams and whatever, it's like words unspoken. They can't be spoken now if the words are in the graveyard. And so I was feeling inspired to do this, so I sent this very good friend a message, and I just let her know, hey, just I led up to it and just said, hey, look, I don't want to leave these words unspoken. So just from the time I met you, I thought you were very beautiful, and I love your hair, and you're just the sweetest lady I've known. And and I just want you to know that I love you. And that was it. And it's like I just wanted to release those words before, if anything were to happen to me, then, she'd never hear those words from me. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I got back sort of a reciprocal message, same thing sort of, but it's like, I just had to put that out there, those, and so that they weren't unspoken words. And I just, I guess right now I'm urging everyone to do that, don't leave with unspoken words.
Yep, there's nothing worse than words we didn't get to say and work we didn't get to do. So I'm glad that you got to say that. But I just encourage everybody, just keep living.
Yeah.
That's my message. Like, just keep living, keep going forward.
Right on, right on. Those are like such powerful words too. Just keep living, and just keep moving. Like one of my motto or one of my phrases is keep moving forward. No matter
That's right.
what, keep moving
Right.
forward. And all right, well, I was just looking at the clock and realized we're right at the time. Actually, maybe a minute over, but I was just wondering if you wanted to give everyone contact info in case they wanted to get in touch with you.
Sure. So you can find me on all socials, Natriece.Spicer, NATRIECESPICER. And then I have the Inspired Life podcast, which is on Instagram and Facebook. We are streaming everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Podbay, Stitcher, everywhere that things are being streamed, you can find us. It's the Inspired Life podcast. But if you just Google my name, you'll find the podcast and then you can tap in. Thank you. You have been amazing. It's been fun being able to have this conversation, but also inspirational, being able to talk with somebody else who really cares about global well-being and just like the impact of humanity. And so I'm excited to see the work continue. Thank you so much. And I'll be sure to share your show so people can tune in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Natriece. And thank you very much for joining me and all your words of wisdom you've shared. And I will be, just to let you and everyone else know, I will be posting this. If it's not already on my Facebook Live, I'm not sure if that did connect earlier, but if it's not, I will post a copy of this video on my Facebook, and I will be posting a copy of this video on my YouTube channel, so it will be, I put my shows on YouTube since it's on video now, so, they're for all time instead of just one and done. And yeah, it's awesome. Technology rocks.
Right. Let's go, tech. Let's go. I love me some tech. So, yes, make sure that you go ahead and DM me all of the information or email me so that I can post all of the links. And then from there, we'll go ahead.
Oh yeah,
let's get
definitely.
a selfie.
And I will definitely tag you in the posts on Instagram.
All righty. Let's get a selfie before we disconnect the call.
Okay, sounds good.
Got it.
Okay, sweet.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a great Sunday, Shane.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you have a great day, great Sunday too, Natriece.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.
And there you have it. And so thank you, Natriece, for coming on today and sharing your positivity with the world. And with that, I guess I'll just wrap it up by saying I wish everyone could stay kind, optimistic, and grateful, and have a phenomenal day and a phenomenal week. And I will see you next Sunday here on Podsitive Vibes at BG Radio Universal in downtown Tacoma, Washington. Thank you and peace. I'm out. Laters.